Here we go. Haha.
Don't do that.
You better have that clip ready.
Here we go!
What just happened?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the last episode of the Spider-Man Retrospective here on the Waffle Press podcast. I'm your host, Doggo Drespo.
And I'm Katz Maringo.
We're here to talk about Spider-Man Far From Home, the final Spider-Man movie for the foreseeable future. Just kidding. They'll never stop making these. Apparently, they want to do 9 of them. That's not a terrible idea. We'll see how it goes.
It wasn't a terrible idea until a couple weeks ago.
Coming off of Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, Spider-Man Homecoming is essentially useless now because he is now an Avenger-ish, question mark? They still haven't definitively declared whether or not he is or wants to be. I don't know what this movie's stance is on anything, if I'm being honest. But Peter Parker goes to vacation in Europe with his science school class. I don't know why they go to Europe for a science class, but they do that. J.B. Smoove is in this movie, and he made me laugh. Thanks, everyone.
Well,
that's what I got.
All
like
right.
and subscribe if you didn't like this. Like and subscribe anyways, because you might find something you do like.
Well, Diego, before we go, I have some questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you blind when you're born?
I think so.
Can you see in the dark?
What are you doing?
Dare you look at a king?
What's happening?
Would you sit on his throne?
Is it no? Are you?
Can
no.
you say that if your bite that it's worse than your bark? Are you the cock of the walk when you're walking alone? Because jellicles are and jellicles do. Cut to the trailer.
I think Nick Fury just hijacked our summer vacation.
Awesome!
You got gifts, Parker, but you have a job to do. Are you going to step up or not? You're all alone. Your friends are in trouble. What are you going to do about it?
Cats, baby!
Oh no!
Cats,
no.
baby! Jellicle cats! Life
no.
to the everlasting cat. Practical cats. Dramatical cats. Pragmatical cats.
We will talk about Far From Home for a little bit of this episode, but as it turns out, after our not like a rave retrospective on Homecoming, but we were like, hey, yeah, that still holds up. That was pretty good. Far From Home is not the worst Marvel movie, but it might be the most pointless one.
Yeah, here's what I'm going to say about Far From Home. Because I want to say as little as possible.
And I actually do have points to make, so just so everyone knows, but go ahead.
Good luck,
Matt.
fucker. I don't think I've seen a Marvel film yet that I've watched, and just through basically the entire runtime, I felt nothing. I felt so little watching Far From Home. Like, I'm not angry even. Like, I wasn't... sometimes, laziness will, really bother me. I think Jurassic World did that a lot. Not that that's the only problem with that film. But if there was something I noticed first, it was that how incredibly lazy that film was. Usually, I get more annoyed with laziness than total failure. But, here, I just couldn't bring myself to care about anything. And, I can't even care enough. I don't even want to be, angry at it. I just don't... I want it to go away. I want us to all just be whatever, and just stop.
Honestly, after this episode, I've been tweeting a lot about Marvel stuff lately, so I know that's been pissing you off.
Oh, it definitely has.
But no, I think it's good that these movies are, at least for them, for their output, they're taking a break until next year, which is honestly a huge relief. I think we're only getting 2 Marvel movies next year, which is unheard of at this point.
Well, now it's going to be the thing of we're going to be getting Marvel films and then streaming series.
Yeah, which I guess someone will tell me about someday, because I don't care. But.
Have they yet to announce if when the streaming stuff starts, are they going to drop every episode at once, or is it going to be a weekly thing like the CBS bullshit?
You know, I don't know. I've been so tuned out of it. I just know what shows that they have coming up.
Because that,
But,
like,
I don't know.
of the nonsense I dislike about the, like, now we're getting, like, tiered streaming services and stuff, I dislike the ones that are doing, like, the weekly releases of their show. I cannot stand that.
Yeah, the DC streaming services have been doing that, and I guess that's not working out for them.
Yep. They just renewed
Sorry.
something, right? Like, didn't Doom
they
Patrol just
renewed
get...
Doom Patrol and Young Justice, and I saw the pilot episode of Doom Patrol. Very pleasant surprise.
I've heard I've heard it's really good.
Yeah.
But didn't, like, Swamp Thing... Isn't Swamp Thing not even out and it's already canceled?
Swamp Thing was like... They ended production at episode 10 when they had, like, a 13-episode run. And then they just, like, stopped promoting it or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is too bad because apparently, like, the VFX in that are, like, amazing movie-level stuff. Mm-hmm. But, like, I haven't seen anything from
Well,
it.
if you do Swamp Thing right, it could be incredible. All the although I don't know how this shit works. DC's in a weird predicament because I think their best stories are with their, like, C-list characters, but you can't do a lot of their C-list characters without a greater universe, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's the like, one of the best Swamp Thing comics ever is one where he fights Batman. Like, and you just can't do that. So I think they're in a weird position.
It's very weird, and, like, not to already get completely away from Far From Home.
No, further,
like
further. We got to get farther from home.
Furthest from home.
Yes.
But I think that's, again, I bring up the DC TV shows a lot on the CW. Not always home runs, to say the least, but Legends of Tomorrow is just like an amalgamation of, like, Doctor Who, Star Trek, and, like, the most minor characters that you could take out of every series and not miss a beat. And it's like this great action comedy series about, like, love and friendship and fighting weird space monsters and demons, and it's really good. Like, I can't recommend all the other shows to people that aren't into that already, but I could recommend Legends of Tomorrow to anyone, and you're probably gonna like it. Like, it's great.
I just like the vibe of those shows, you know? Like, they make me feel happy. In a way, we're like, because they're pretty simple, and that's kind of what I like about them. But they're also, I don't know, comics seem to have, like, lost, the comic book movies and comics in general seem to have, like, lost their way in recent years. And I don't know if there's a way back, or if there really should be. I think maybe we should just let it end.
Move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I think it's just, well, it's like, comics just don't make sense today anymore. Like the serialized superhero comic, you know? We just don't read comic books like that anymore. And also, we only get the same characters over and over again because no one wants to make any new characters because everyone wants to own their characters because the comic book industry has historically ripped creators off. So, like, we're just going to get the same 7 types of stories from each character, and then they're going to reboot it every 10 years. So it's like it was weird. I remember reading about Marvel starting out when Marvel really started to do, like, long form storytelling at the start, and they were like, no one had tried that before because the mentality was every 8 years or so you had a whole new audience because kids grow up and stop reading comics. And then Marvel was like, no, we're going to keep telling these long stories. But now it seems like it's like the worst of both worlds, where it's like you already need to be indoctrinated to get it, but then it's constantly restarting, supposedly to get new audiences, but then it just caters to the same audience. So,
and it's like, that's why it's so fun in the comics industry, is like, pick up more comics, like, support your local comic shops by buying the big 2. And it's like, well, no one's buying comics anymore because there's no entry point.
Yeah, there's no entry point and there's no exit point. Like,
yeah,
it's like you only read them if you're already into them. And at least now we're at a point where I feel like I'm comfortable recommending, like, older comics to people, you know, where it's like, oh, if you like this character, read this or something like that. Like, that seems cool because now their characters are just so mainstream. There was a fucking Shazam movie. We had 2 Captain Marvel movies in 1 year, even though one of them legally can't be called Captain Marvel.
Yeah. And I liked both.
Yeah, they were both nice.
Yeah, I like them both a lot more than this movie.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You don't want any part of this.
I was so JB Smoove, like you said, is in this movie, and they give him fucking nothing. Like,
here's what I'll say though. This is completely just my takeaway from the movie, because whenever the Mysterio like elementals show up, he's always like witches, right? So my headcanon is that he saw the new Suspiria from 2018 and it just scared the shit out of him. And so when they go to Europe, he's like, "Oh no, it's happening."
He's actively terrified of everything going on.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. Like he did make me laugh, but it feels like JB Smoove should have been stealing every scene he was in. Because JB Smoove, if you don't know JB Smoove, he's one of those like notoriously funny like guys who's never really had his due. Like he's never been huge, I don't think.
Yeah, no. Like I haven't even seen Curb Your Enthusiasm. I just know him from like
great.
other bit roles.
He's great on that. He was on the Chris Rock show, I believe. He was the narrator of the film Pootie Tang, the masterpiece. If you can ignore the fact that it's directed by sex pervert Louis C.K.
No. But that's okay, because didn't he like disown it or something like that?
Oh yeah, he disowned it. It got taken away from him by the studio. So
yeah, it's like the best case scenario of that ever happening.
And he says he doesn't like the final version. He's wrong. Pootie Tang's a masterpiece. So it's fucking incredible. And he was also, I believe he's famous for being an SNL writer, where, because you know SNL, every week you have to pitch your skit ideas. Mm-hmm. And I believe everyone said he had the funniest pitches that were impossible to film, and he got like maybe 2 on the show during his whole career.
Oh,
I think one of them was he was like a pirate with 2 eye patches. Like that was the whole skin. Like I think one he might have gotten on was the pitch was just a woman, but she's pregnant in her ass. Like,
what?
I know.
But no, he's good in this, but like this is like the peak of that Marvel brand comedy where it's like, yeah, that's funny, and you move on to the next scene and none of it mattered. Yeah,
there was a lot of that in this one, which I felt like Homecoming, I credit it for like steering away from it for the most part. I would still call Homecoming a good movie, despite this week's follow-up. But yeah,
I can watch it as its own thing and be like, that was a nice little entry point for this Spider-Man.
Yeah,
and that I'm waiting for that sequel, because like let me say this really quick. Why did Spider-Man have to go to Europe for this movie?
I don't know.
For this journey.
Was there tax breaks for filming there? I don't know.
There must have been. I have no idea.
I mean, all right. It's not the worst idea. Like, put Spider-Man in a new environment. That's fun. Also, like, the whole joke is that Nick Fury is actually the one kind of puppeting the whole thing. So, like, he's the reason the science team's going to Europe. And it's like, oh, it's a cover for some bullshit. But yeah, I don't know why it didn't mean anything at all. Like, yeah, it was fun to see Spider-Man, like, you know, in Venice. Like, that's a fun idea. Like, he's in Venice, but they don't do much with it. And yeah, I don't know. It was just, again, like, I got nothing, and that's why when that fucking trailer for the Cats movie dropped, as the nightmare prisms in my brain opened, as I just took in the fucking just Bustopher Jones and Rum Tug Tugger and all this shit, I was like, I hurt myself today to see if I still feel. You can have it all.
No.
My empire of dirt.
Stop.
I felt something watching that trailer. And I had felt so little in the theater this year.
Oh no, it's a bad year for movies. Like, there's some great shit. You and I liked Godzilla, I think, more than like anyone else, maybe.
Yeah, everyone else seems to be like it was terrible, but
Yeah, but there's pockets of people for sure. But like
those people must have
Yeah.
slept when they went to the Atlantic City at the center of the earth.
oh yeah, no, I guess they discover Atlantis or something.
It's
And
from
that's
the
just, like,
it's in the thing I love about the movie is that it really tried, and I don't believe it succeeded, but it really tried to tie the fucked up mythology of Godzilla together. Because the Atlanteans are in fucking the Godzilla franchise. And Monster Zero and all that shit, like it was something. But again, yeah, no one seemed to like it. I seem to be responding to a lot of movies that people hate. Like, I really love The Dead Don't Die. Which my co-host here gave 1 star, I believe.
1.5 stars.
1.5.
I did
okay.
watch Nick Spears, her review on it on YouTube, and it opened up my mind to possibilities as well as your take. So I'll rewatch it eventually, but I didn't feel anything during that movie.
It might be my favorite movie of the year so far.
Jesus Christ.
Other than Us. Us is number 1.
Oh, Us is the shit. But I loved Alita, which had got
Yeah,
very
Lita,
mixed
which
reviews.
got mixed reviews, and that's the thing. All right, here's where I'm coming from with this fucking Cats shit. Like, everyone out, all of you suck. Because these fucking Marvel movies come out, and everyone's like, good enough, and then, like, they talk about, like, oh, I love the part with it, or then even the people who hate it go on about it too fucking much. But then something like Cats comes out, and it's a legit disaster. And it looks like a mess, and it's ill-conceived, and it's wrong-headed, and you're all just dunking on it. We should be celebrating Cats. This is a fucking gift from God. It's proof that God loves us, that we were given this Cats movie. Because it's not going to work, but we're going to get it.
Oh, no. Let me just say, one, I was ecstatic to see it just immediately, the first official day of Comic-Con, overtake all the news that was coming out of there. They're like,
Yes.
yeah, Marvel panel tomorrow. Cats trailer drops. The internet's aflame with takes.
Oh my God. It was it was like a full 2-day thing of just
it was
everyone
great.
just watching new people discover it. I think I said to you, I haven't felt such unity since the September 11th attacks.
Damn it.
Am I
one
wrong?
episode. Just
Am
one
I wrong?
episode. No, you're not wrong.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not. You're not. You're not wrong.
Hey,
but
if you want me to stop talking about 9/11, you got to show me shit that doesn't have parallels to 9/11.
but I mean, Cats is just like, it's more perfect than I ever imagined.
More
it's the
perfect
monster. I hate you. It's horrifying. It looks like it's filmed incompetently. Well, I mean, it's a Tom Hooper film.
It's a Tom Hooper movie who sucks.
Yeah. If you've ever seen a Tom Hooper movie and you've liked it, don't rewatch it. Just carry that memory of it with you and leave it be. Also, The Danish Girl is the worst movie ever made, and that might be not hyperbole.
It is that it was. That was the one where his movies were always kind of bad, but I didn't really have an opinion of them. But The Danish Girl was like, oh fuck you.
Yeah.
But this is, again, they got a guy who has no skill to try and turn a musical with no plot into a 2-hour narrative.
Idris Elba's a cat.
Idris Elba's in this.
Apparently, they made fun of him on the set of Hobbs and Shaw, because that cast is all just bro dudes and stuff like that, right? And I like most of those movies. Fast 8 kind of killed the franchise. Maybe we'll see in long term. But they were just giving him the worst time apparently, and that's
I wish
amazing.
he had a movie to prove them wrong, but he doesn't.
Aww.
I believe he's McCavity, the mystery cat. He's the villain.
Oh my God.
The closest thing that story gets to a villain, I guess. But But again, it was like everyone reacted that like Alita, the trailer dropped, and everyone's like, her eyes are weird, and like that was enough to like kill hype for that movie. Like whereas we all should have been like, it's fucking Robert Rodriguez and James Cameron making a movie. Like, I'm not sure it'll be good, but we should all at least like stop. And now like the fucking Irishman trailer just dropped, and everyone's already like, the eyes don't look fucking perfect. And I'm like, fuck you. It's fucking Pacino's Jimmy Hoffa. Fucking Pesci's back. It's a Scorsese film. Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, like we deserve for it to go straight to Netflix, you bastards. Like, everyone's just... Ugh. Like the fucking Mulan trailer came out, and because Mulan didn't have the songs in it, people were like, what is this?
Oh, that was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, but that movie looks awesome.
No, it looks so good. It looks like a real movie. That's the big thing.
I know, because Mulan, Mulan's one of those ones, frankly, I think a lot of people love more nostalgically than it, like, actually being a good movie. And I like Mulan, but it's not, like, a perfect film.
It is, but go ahead.
No, it's a lot of fun. It's Mushu, I guess. Everyone likes Mushu.
Mushu doesn't need to... Mushu has problems for the film. That's my conceit to that argument.
All right, I gotta ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
Why is every ethnicity, when they're presented in film and like they like, oh, the family's getting together, why, no matter who they are, they're portrayed like Italians?
I don't know.
Like all the ghost ancestors in fucking Mulan are always bickering and talk. It's just, I don't know. It's like My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Like, you could take Greek out, you can make it any family, and you don't have to change any of the plot. The only one that doesn't make sense is like Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah. Which, oh my god, I forgot how this came up in conversation with someone I was talking about Far From Home with, and we were like saying like, yeah, like Crazy Rich Asians isn't like the best movie ever, but like, oh my god, it's refreshing to watch like a romantic comedy that's like a real movie, you know, with like a color palette and like acting
with stakes. I didn't really like that movie. It was weird to me. I could go on about Crazy Rich Asians. There's a lot going on in that movie.
I don't think it's great, and I've got issues too. But like, oh my god,
what's the one? There's a rom-com on Netflix now that everyone's been talking about.
Always Be My Maybe. It's fine. It does that weird thing where it's like, here's a woke joke, but you're not sure if like the wokeness is the joke.
Yeah,
or there's
I hate that.
Really cute ending though. Really touching ending.
Well, I think rom-coms get like short end of the stick sometimes. I think people are down on rom-coms too much.
I'd agree with that. Like, I'd still recommend Always Be My Maybe. Like, I like it,
Fucking bro director Tarantino admits to crying watching rom-coms on airplanes.
Well, there wasn't, like, one of his favorite movies of 2016 or something like that? Like, The Internship or something?
I think it was.
The Intern?
Yeah, it was The Intern.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, say what you will about the guy. Like, he's got a pretty diverse, like, taste in movies.
You do you, Quentin.
Yeah, just fucking take care of your people on set, and we won't have any more problems.
Put all them feet on the screen.
What was it with Once Upon a Time? Like, everyone's feet were filthy.
Well, I mean, to be fair, this is gonna be weird. Sorry. To be fair, it was the like 60s, 70s like hippie era. Like, everyone was barefoot and all that. Like, I think he was like just really leaning into something that did make sense.
I guess.
And like everyone was walking in bare feet and shit, but I can't
like the
imagine.
Manson cult people, like, that makes sense,
Yeah. Well, I thought like when I saw that and like they do a close up of the Manson girls' feet and they're like those are like the most filthy feet in the film. I was like, oh, maybe he's like actually trying to use it to be like, oh, see, it's a sign of the poor things to come. But then it's like everyone's feet is in this. So, all right. Here's a reading of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, let's just do it. I'll hop back and forth between Far From Home, but this is basically how the episode's going to play out.
You don't need to.
No, I have takes that I need to get out there.
Don't bother.
I'm doing it.
The breakup of Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth. As
Spoilers for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's not a spoiler. It's the fucking... If you don't see that coming, you're not watching the fucking movie. You didn't watch the trailer for the fucking movie. As a metaphor for the breakup of Tarantino from the Weinstein Company.
Hey. I don't know how serious you are with that.
But... Well,
Cliff.
Cliff Booth probably killed his wife.
Well, no, that's the thing. Cliff Booth totally killed his wife. It's whether or not it was intentional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he probably let her die.
Yeah. It's a movie. It's the only movie, I think, in Tarantino's like filmography that blatantly and actively addresses like the misogynistic tendencies of its characters. You know, like it's kind of in Hateful Eight, but I think it leans a little too far in another direction by the end of it. A movie that I love still, but like here it's even when they're like getting the cut, like he's doing the Inglourious Basterds thing again with the Manson cult, and I think it plays a little weirder here, just because like we know the protagonist is a bad person.
It is definitely weirder, but not to get into it because it is a movie, so it's not real life.
Which the movie's point is that too, that it's not real, and that's very sad by the end.
Yeah, and real spoilers here for a second. I'll try not to say it, but you probably could put it together. I guess I don't really feel so bad about what happens at the end.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, I don't feel bad about what happens to Nazis in films. Because you should maybe read some of the testimonies of the Manson girls about what happened that night. And yeah, I understand they were manipulated and abused by Charles Manson. They are victims in a way, but it's gonna take a little more for me to be that sympathetic. If you know
let me be clear. I 100% agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Completely. But I also get people being a little uncomfortable given the history of the filmmakers' treatment of women. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But it's just there's more to it. I mean, I hate when that feels like such an obnoxious thing when you're like, there's more to it, because I think people can see that there's more to it and still not like it. Mm-hmm. But I think there is definitely an encouragement online to just go at the surface. I remember a lot of that when, like again, there's like all his movies have very problematic elements, but I feel like people aren't willing to probe deep enough sometimes. With like they sometimes when they see problematic shit in a movie, they dismiss the entire film and don't want to figure out what it's maybe saying. And because it can still be problematic and saying something.
Yeah,
I'm saying. Yeah. And you can still not like it. I mean, I walked out of that movie going like, that's a movie people are gonna hate. And frankly, that's getting rarer and rarer these days. Not sure if that's a good or bad thing.
I think when movies are like good, I mean, this is all subjective at the end of the day, but like when we come across a really great movie, like in the last few years, I think they're some of the best that have ever been, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But when they get like middling responses, it's very disheartening because those are the most movies that are coming out right now, especially this year. And so to at least like talk about a movie for more than like a weekend, it just feels nice. It's like, oh yeah, that's what we're supposed to be doing. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood gave that to me. You know, if someone doesn't want to see it though, I'm not going to begrudge them. Totally.
Oh no, I would
never. You know?
I never believe in saying someone has to see a movie or be like. That's why I hate like the idea of the canon, where it's like, here's the films that like must see movies that are perfect. Like I don't believe in that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't believe any movie's perfect, and you can get stuff out of any movie. That's why I like The Dead Don't Die, even though everyone's probably right for hating that movie. But yeah, and that's why I'm excited about fucking Cats, because it's gonna be a mess. Like, I don't think anyone understands what's coming. The problem is, watching the trailer about 30 times, you can tell that Tom Hooper failed entirely. Because
he always fails. That's the good thing about Tom Hooper. He's
the
most reliable filmmaker in Hollywood.
Yeah, I guess. But it's like, did you see Les Mis?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, like do you remember how awful the editing and staging was in that?
It gets even worse because fucking everything was shot in like maximum close up.
Yes.
Like what? Who the fuck? You're filming one of the biggest musicals of all time, and everything's in a fucking close up or like medium shot. Go fuck yourself. Oh my god.
Well, remember the whole thing about that movie was like how they wanted to capture the performances, like the faces of everyone.
You know how to fucking capture performance on camera, motherfuck.
Yeah. Well, for some reason there are directors out there who believe you can only get a performance if you have them in extreme close up, which I don't understand. He seems to be pulling back a little bit for the Cats movie, which seems like a mistake. Because
it's the weirdest thing.
The frames look very empty at times.
Yeah, it's like, okay, he heard the criticism about the close-ups. Wide shots now.
Yeah.
But he never learned how to, like, use them.
Well, one thing I learned about this, if you watch the behind-the-scenes video that was released to, like, hype us up for the trailer.
I am aware.
With everyone's favorite James Corden.
These are people, but they're cats, and this is kind of blowing my mind.
Yep, what a take. I think Eddie Redmayne said something equally stupid because they did a similar video for Les Mis where they were like, no, you don't understand, we did all the music live. Like, I hope they didn't do it with Cats, but hey.
Well, Eddie Redmayne's only good performance is in Jupiter Ascending.
I know, that's crazy,
everyone knows.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And it's even crazier because he's like, oh, that's a performance I'm not proud of. It's like, I've seen your other movies. You should take that back.
They built like they built like giant sets for the cat people. Like, and that's what they didn't need to do that. Like, the sets look great, and it's just, but then they populate it with CGI monstrosities. And they, like, if you look, I guess they did some mocap, but it's mostly just the actors in, like, spandex, and then they did, like, complete CGI over them. Like, with no mocap. Like, they just kind of guessed.
So weird.
Yeah.
I mean, they did the same thing for Gemini Man, I think. But Gemini Man, like, I mean, one, I think looks good. But two, the CG on Will Smith, young Will Smith in that movie, looks really good.
Well, they're starting to get that face stuff right with these movies. Like, like I said, the Irishman trailer just dropped, and I don't know what everyone's talking about. I think it looks really good. The CGI I'm talking about, I think everyone agrees the movie looks good, but like, it didn't look that weird. Like, there was like a little, like, if I really like tried to like look at it, it looked a little off, but it wasn't like distracting. And here, honestly, I think one of the problems is they got the faces too right. You know,
like it's a human face, but they try to put like cat elements around it.
These are people, but they're cats, and this is kind of blowing my mind.
They didn't really do much to make the noses look like cat noses.
Yeah, so it looks like unnatural.
Because if you look at the actual musical, it's, they really put a lot of makeup in the face to make them look cat-like. And here it's like that was like the thing they didn't think to do. Which makes it even crazier.
I think of something like Avatar, because Avatar is basically just blue cat people.
Yeah, and they got those noses right.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know not everyone's crazy about Avatar. Like, I'm not in love with it either, but like, that stuff's impeccable.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm trying to think of something from Avatar. I can't remember a fucking thing from that movie.
You know what? I think if people revisit it, I don't think everyone's going to fall in love with it, but I think they'll be surprised at how efficient the movie is.
I think a lot of people I think we're going to get a lot of Avatar's actually great takes in the next couple of years.
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, fucking whatever.
No, everyone rewatch Avatar. Anyways, Far From Home has the opposite problem of those visual effects things, because everything looks like a PlayStation 3 graphic. And generally, this wouldn't be a problem for me. I'd be like, whatever. Like Captain Marvel has iffy CG stuff, especially in the finale. Holy shit. But I found myself really caring about, like, the journey of that movie. And here, I don't know what Peter Parker's journey is, because he wants to go on vacation, which I guess makes sense coming off of Endgame and Infinity War. But, like, that's not where we left him off in his last movie. And so, like, none of that stuff matters in hindsight.
Well, one of the things, honestly, I think this is a prime example of this movie paying for the sins of the previous movie. Because this movie starts with a whole recap of, like, the events, like, you know, the Infinity War shit, like, where half the people on Earth were killed and everything. And then everyone's back now. And it's, like, played, like, for laughs, right? And frankly, I like that here. I think it's fine here. The problem is, people have been complaining about this movie not doing much with it, with the whole, like, aftermath of Infinity War. I feel like that's on Infinity War. Infinity War should have done that shit. Like, this is the time to kind of, like, be like, oh, whatever.
This is like the place to decompress. I agree with that, actually. The problem is, like, when this is my beef with, like, the producer shit now at this point, not really the movie, but when they're like, oh, this is the end to the Infinity Saga, it's like, one, it's not a saga. You just made it up as you went along and you convinced people. And that's fine. Movies are hard to make. Anyone that says they plotted out, like, every movie, like, from the get-go is full of shit. That's not what happens.
I think we don't realize how much shit we love is usually made up on the fly.
Yeah, and, like, we talked about that, like, with Breaking Bad. Like, that's totally fine, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but, you can totally do it, but it's very clear that here, the way they decided to build to it was by just telling filmmakers what they had to do.
Yeah, and so, like, the blip instead of the snap, they call it, like, whatever, I don't know. I don't care about the names.
Well, it makes sense for them, because, like, not everyone knows about Thanos snapping, probably.
Yeah, that's true. But, like, it ends up meaning even less, and it just becomes kind of, like, obnoxious, in my opinion. It only sticks around for, like, the first half hour of the movie anyways, which is maybe another criticism people might have of it that I kind of agree with. Because it doesn't amount to anything. It's just like, oh, yeah, that was crazy. We're going to Europe now. And also, this kid got super tall and hot and is actually a 30-year-old man.
Mm-mm. But to me, it's like, I think what we have here would have worked had Infinity War been stronger.
Honestly, yeah, probably.
I think that the sins are on Infinity War and Endgame. But that's a whole other thing.
Yeah. The whole Mysterio sequence, who I actually like in the second half. In the first half, I'm like, he's fine. Like, he's clearly just, like, bland Marvel hero.
There's a big problem with this movie where we all know Mysterio's the villain. So it's not super interesting to watch, like, this slow build up to a reveal.
It would be if they leaned more into him being, like, a hero in any capacity. But it's, like, so clearly, like, the bare minimum footwork for that, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, I had a family on this other Earth where I'm from. Oh, this is for my family, where it looks like he's going to sacrifice himself. It's like, there's no stakes to anything he's said or done.
But we've also had, like, 3 gags before that where it's very clear he has an ego. So, like, there's no falseness. Like, there's no, like, pretending, like, oh, he might actually be a stoic person.
Yeah.
I don't know. That Mysterio sequence I wish was in a better movie, because that was, like, probably the highlight of the film.
Oh, the action in the second half, I think, is some of the best Marvel's ever done. Like, it's genuinely inventive to watch Spider-Man on the London Bridge trying to figure out, okay, this approach didn't work. I have to think this way. Okay, that didn't work. I cannot think this. I got to do this. And sometimes even without, like, words. And I was like, hey, this is pretty good.
Yeah, to watch him, like, actual problem solve was nice.
Yeah. But yeah, the Mysterio sequence, really great.
Spider-Man, even earlier, Spider-Man just trying to keep a tower from falling is more engaging than most of Endgame. Yeah,
this Spider-Man stuff, like, I've seen some criticism lobbied at, like, this Peter Parker not, like, throwing punches or whatever. Like, what kind of complaint is that? Oh my God, he's like a teenager. Like, let him not be a violent psychopath.
Yeah.
You know? Like, my least favorite part of him in Endgame is, like, when he activates the kill mode on the suit, and I'm like, we just had a movie about him negating this. Like, why are they doing that now? You know, but whatever.
Would have been funny if, like, it was an accident. Like, I could have bought that.
Oh, the kids are cute, too. I really like this cast still.
I'm just, like, staring into the distance thinking about Endgame. It's like there's a world out there I could escape this from. I can escape from this. And you know what that world is populated with?
No.
It's fucking terrifying cat people.
Here we go!
I don't know this.
No.
Do you know the plot for the musical Cats?
No.
Andrew Lloyd Webber's masterpiece. It's based on T.S. Eliot's Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats, which was a book of poetry about cats. I'm trying to think, how does one explain the plot of the musical Cats?
You don't have to.
There's a tribe of cats called Jellicle Cats, and their leader's the Old Wise Deuteronomy. And once a year, every night, they pick one cat to ascend to heaven, and this cat will be reborn to live another life. That's it.
What?
That's the plot of Cats.
You know what? I'm genuinely dumbfounded. I have nothing for that.
And the whole musical is just different cats kind of like parading out and like being like, oh, this is what type of cat this person is. And that's it for like 2 hours. And there's definitely more to it, but it's also like it's more implied, like they don't really outright say anything. Like there's Victoria the white cat, who is like the young innocent cat. She represents innocence. She doesn't actually have a song. She just dances like in between every other song.
That's weird.
And she is the first one to welcome oh god, what the fuck's her name? How did I forget the name? Grisabella, who is the glamour cat who has abandoned the tribe. She's the one who gets to ascend to heaven in the end. Spoilers.
Oh, okay.
Even though the fucking trailer has her singing Memory, so that's Jennifer Hudson's character. You don't Memory? All Alone in the Moonlight?
Oh, okay.
How dare you?
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, that's basically the plot, and they're gonna try and make this into a 2-hour plus movie.
Well, I can't wait now.
It looks like they're gonna try and make Victoria more of a central character with like wants and desires.
Well, I mean, I'm there opening night. I'm gonna have a nice beer at the Hollywood ArcLight. I'll probably try to check it out in the Cinerama Dome if it's gonna show there.
Oh my god, that'd be incredible.
You know what? Actually, it's probably gonna be Star Wars.
It's probably gonna be Star Wars.
Dome.
But
which I'm fine with because I want to see that on the big screen too. So
we put off recording this episode so long that famous theatrical composer and director Hal Prince died.
Oh,
he died just like 2 days ago. But he has the greatest. He worked with Andrew Lloyd Webber on Phantom, and he has this great quote where Andrew Lloyd Webber was presenting him with Cats. Said, I looked at him curiously and said, Andrew, I don't understand. Is this about English politics? Are those cats Queen Victoria, Gladstone, and, oh god, Desriel? Is that it? Ah, fuck. I don't know English bullshit. He looked at me like I'd lost my mind, and after the longest pause said, Hal, this is just about cats.
oh my god.
Who is that guy?
He's like Iron Man and Thor rolled into one.
He's no Spider-Man.
What is it with you and Spider-Man?
What, he looks out for the neighborhood, has a dope suit, and I really respect him. Sup, dickwad?
Anyways,
in the whole of St. James.
The cast of Far From Home is still remarkably cute and charming, and Zendaya gets a lot more to do, but I still don't know anything about her.
She gets more to do, but I somehow felt less about her in this film than I did in Homecoming. Like she does things, but she's not like a character really.
I like the idea of Peter having this like group of like classmates, even if he's not close with all of them. But again, why did they have to go to Europe for this?
I like Ned's storyline.
I heard some people were getting annoyed by it, and I was like, you know what? It was funny, and it made me laugh, and I like Ned and Betty.
It had a beginning, middle, and end.
Yep.
That's why I'm cool with it.
Even if the whole thing was a joke, a pointless joke, it was a joke that worked.
I think the joke's on the audience, though. It's like, oh, you fuckers wanted a fucking story, huh? Here's one. Go fuck yourself.
Well, director John Watts didn't co-write this one, I found out. He only co-wrote the first one, and I think that actually might be a big reason for this feeling so, like, flaccid.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, like, I was given Homecoming kind of crap just because it wasn't, like, the most visually interesting Marvel movie. This one has, like, striking moments and images, which was nice. The bare minimum of a movie.
Well, like, that Mysterio sequence was really good. Like, that's, like, the big set piece.
Yeah, and it still looks too cheap. Like, because it's I know it's, like, an illusion, but Peter should be buying into it. And if he looks, like, less well visualized than, like, the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man game, I know we're in trouble.
I don't know. I never had a problem.
That is my favorite part.
I never had a problem with that. But again, I also just didn't really care.
Yeah, see, I think that's my problem. I actually cared about these movies at one point, and I actually was, like, invested.
Well, I did. I did too. I did too, and then I realized that I was the fool, and that they're products, right? This is a pointless battle. Like, trying to make these better is pointless.
No, you know what? I say fuck that still, though. Because there's no reason that these should not be the best movies, like, in the business right now. They have everything they need.
No, there's no way for them to be good. It's impossible. The way these movies are set up and designed, what they are meant to do, it's impossible for them to be good.
I still don't believe that. Mostly because I still believe that there are, like, legitimately good movies in this series.
There are, but they're all weaker by being connected to the Marvel Universe. They all could be great movies if you took them out of Marvel. Like even like I like Thor Ragnarok a lot, but even that felt like it was constrained by just the rules of these Marvel films. Black Panther, another one I really liked, I also felt was constrained. Captain Marvel, which I liked, also felt constrained. Like, if these movies were given some breathing room that they just aren't allowed to have because they're a cog in an assembly line, and the key thing on the assembly line isn't these movies, it's the audience. We are being sold this shit, and we are part of the machine. They just want us to keep selling it. We're just selling it to each other. It's a fucking pyramid scheme.
You know what? By the end of this, I wrote this down, but, like, that first post-credit scene, it feels like the final finger curl of the monkey's paw.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, oh yeah, J.K. Simmons is back as J. Jonah Jameson, but he's also, like, an Alex Jones type. Which he is in the PlayStation game as well, but I was like, this is funny, and it works here. I don't want this to be the standard of J. Jonah Jameson. I feel like that I just lost the war on that. Like, that's gonna happen now.
I don't give a fuck about that. Like, that was nice to see.
Sure, but then it's just like, oh, here's the thing for the next movie, because nothing we did up to this point mattered.
You fucking fool. You're playing right into their hand. Like, that shot's there just to get us to react to it. It means nothing. None of these movies mean anything. It's all fucking pointless.
No, you know what? I still stand by it. The best of these movies still have things that they want to say, and they have things that mean something to the characters of the audience. So when something like this happens, it pisses me off even more, even though it's really just like a fine movie. Like, it exists.
You're going to realize the folly of your ways when Guardians 3 comes out and has to pick up all the pieces that were left by Endgame and Infinity War.
No, you know what? I thought about that too, but Thor 4 is coming out first, and Thor's kicking it with the Guardians right now. So I'm really hoping that Taika Waititi just does whatever he does. Like, come enough, like Thor: The Dark World and Age of Ultron. Like, what? I like Age of Ultron, but, like, what were you even going to do with Thor at that point? And he made it work, you know? So, like, if he could pick up after that, I feel like he could do something fun at least to, like, kind of sweep up the aftermath. And so that way Guardians 3 can still be its own thing. And that's all I want. Okay,
terrorist.
What?
Again, you fall right into the fucking hand of these fucking dictators. Fucking fascists. Like, oh, the Guardians Thor, whatever, won't that be fun, you fuck? You're all fools. We have
Well,
to
look,
stop this.
But before we do stop this, I just have to run down the last couple points because I know you don't give a shit about any of this anymore.
I do give a shit about one thing.
No.
That,
No.
I don't know if you know this, Diego, but the Rum Tug Tugger is a curious cat.
These are people, but they're cats, and this is kind of blowing my mind.
Again, I don't know why Peter needed to go to Europe for this. There's nothing in this film that couldn't have been explored in New York City, with Spider-Man just coming across a dude named Mysterio who wanted to be a hero, even if he was using it for his own benefit to, like, rob banks or some shit. I don't know why he needed to be a Tony Stark employee. I don't know why they keep tying everything from Spider-Man to Tony Stark's. That narrows the universe too much. That narrows down Peter Parker's arc too much. And the first scene where it completely just, like, ruined the movie for me was when there's a drone sequence and it's played for comedy. I've been told that Peter Parker's arc is still about him letting go of Tony Stark's, like, lineage and getting out from under his shadow, but that's what the first film was about. So here they just do it again. And I guess we're supposed to be okay with Peter Parker building a new suit with Stark tech on a Stark jet. I don't know. That was, like, heartbreaking to me. And it left me very sad, actually. But I don't know. Maybe I'm in the wrong. People tell me that the next one will make everything clear. Because that's, like, a thing with these movies. I don't know. Jake Gyllenhaal was fun for, like, 2 scenes. I'm glad he got a paycheck so he can keep doing, like, weird art house movies that no one else watches. Oh, yeah, and Nick Fury and Maria Hill are in this, and they mean nothing. And it turns out they're Skrulls, which is a joke, and also doesn't mean anything. And that's it. That's Spider-Man Far From Home. His identity's revealed, so their version of Spider-Man 3 is totally going to be like a version of Kraven's Last Hunt. Apparently John Watts is a big fan of Kraven, so they're trying to, like, wrestle the Kraven rights away from Sony because they want to make a Kraven movie over there. Don't do that, by the way. That's stupid. I'm cool with him being the villain for the third one. I'm sure I'll probably watch it because I'll still be doing these podcasts and I'll need to talk about these movies to get those SEO clicks. So who knows? I'm looking forward to talking about Cats in full come December 21st or whenever that's coming out.
Do you know who Kraven is going to team up with in the Kraven's Last Hunt film?
Jason Derulo.
Mungo Jerry and Rumble Teaser, the notorious cat burglars. They were not in the trailer. That was very disappointing.
I still know nothing. You've been explaining to me this whole time, and I still know nothing.
Well, by explaining, I've just been kind of screaming the names of these characters, but I don't think it would help. I believe it is old Deuteronomy.
These are people, but they're cats, and this is kind of blowing my mind.
Oh, fuck. That was Spider-Man Far From Home.
No, it wasn't.
Matt didn't really have criticism, but the first thing he texted me when he got out of the theater was that he didn't watch a movie watched him. And I think that's about appropriate. Okay, any last thoughts on anything before we send the good people off on our long journey through Spider-Man's history?
Does anyone know if it was Mungo Jerry or Rumble Teaser? One, I'm at Emperor OTN at Twitter.com.
I'm at Twitter.com as well, at the Diego Crespo. Check out the Waffle Press on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you can get your podcasts. They're probably there if they're the ones I just listed. Otherwise, they're not there. Sorry, I can't help you with that. But maybe one day I can by you supporting us on Patreon. Go check that out. So make my suffering worth it. And so I can make Matt's suffering worth it too. If we get enough support. Because this podcast is basically pays for the SoundCloud.
I actually do have a real question.
Uh-huh.
What is the third name of Cats? The one that no human research can discover.
What?
Goodbye, everybody.
Are you going to try for a different life?
A new day has begun.